Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I wanted to talk to you for a second about something that was just on my mind recently. I was thinking about when I used to teach at Syracuse University, and I did an honest reflection on this on my Facebook page, and I just thought it would be worthwhile to share this honest thought with you right here on YouTube. I was thinking about a conversation I had with the dean. At the time, the dean was a black guy, and and he and I didn't see eye to eye. It was one of those typical situations you see in white-controlled, racist institutions where you have a black overseer and maybe you have a black person that is under the overseer's power, almost a house Negro, field Negro kind of thing. A lot of times the house Negro understands where the field Negro is coming from when the field Negro says massa's not doing us right. But because the house Negro is being so well taken care of, he's still going to stand, where his loyalty, where he believes his loyalty should be, which is with the house, not with the field Negro. So I'm the field Negro. He was the house Negro. But it wasn't because he didn't understand where I was coming from as a black man. It was because he felt like he couldn't understand where I was coming from. He wasn't allowed to understand where I was coming from. He wasn't allowed to really back me the way I think he might have wanted to. At least that's what I want to believe. But then again, maybe he just thought I was stupid. Anyway, I remember we were sitting there and we were talking about the work that I do in the black community. And one of the things I brought up to him was I said, I really don't, because I was about to go up for tenure. And in case you don't know, in academia, getting tenure and not getting tenure is kind of an important thing for people that care about that type of stuff. But I think that it's a problem because so many black scholars I see totally mute their voice, totally mute their ability to be true intellectuals. By virtue of the fact that they are so worried about getting tenure that they just walk on eggshells, pins and needles. You shut down your voice, you shut down your Facebook page, your Twitter, like poor Saida Grundy is being forced to do out at Boston University. You don't, or maybe if it's there, you're very professional and very rigid and very much afraid to really say anything. When you see injustice around you, you're not afraid. You're not able to speak up because you don't feel like you can speak up. Because even though you're right, you've got these white people that are standing over you and who are going to judge you if you say anything that shows that you even give an ounce or a half a damn about your people. That's the situation that we're in. We're going to work for white folks, and white folks have their way of thinking. We have our way of thinking. They have the issues that are important to them. They have the issues that are important to them. We have the issues that are important to us. As a result of the fact that there is a huge disproportion in terms of power, the power structure, our issues kind of get pushed to the side. So the issue I was going through at Syracuse was kind of funny. I was out here fighting the good fight, on black issues, kind of doing my thing, doing the best I could to reconnect with my people. I was using media to do that. In academia, they measure you and your ability to get promoted based on what they call scholarly impact. Scholarly impact is just your ability to impact the world, impact, whatever field that you're in, or impact the way other scholars think, or whatever. And I think I was having a pretty good impact. I was out here doing my thing, and people were paying attention, and we were changing people's lives, and I was very happy because I was reconnecting with my community. Plus, I published a ton of research papers, and I did all that stuff too. But at the same time, it was particularly important to have a public impact because our university had publicly embraced the idea of public scholarship. They were saying they have something called scholarship in action. We want our scholars out there fighting the battles of the day, getting involved in the important issues of the day, all that stuff. And I was doing that. I was getting on CNN and talking about important issues. We did a lot of really important work around the country, working with different kinds of people, and I won't go into all that. But it was fun, and I think it was very effective. So the problem that I ran into, though, was that the people that I was working with, I was in an environment that had, I think we had 6 departments. And in those 6 departments, they had never, ever given a promotion to any black person in any department in over 100 years of operating history. There's still a debate over whether a half-black man once got a promotion a long time ago. But even if that one person did actually get a promotion, the fact is that that's just one. And you're talking about hundreds of white people who've been given the same promotion. So in a lot of these academic environments, black people are just excluded. Black scholars are treated in a second-rate fashion. Work in the black community is typically disrespected. If you come out here and you're speaking about anything that white people don't understand or can't appreciate, they're usually not going to reward you the same way they would if you were white. That's just a fundamental fact. And if I had been out here, saving the whales or fighting for gay rights or fighting for feminism or fighting for the environment or whatever, these liberal issues that whites care about, I would have been hailed as a hero. But instead, it was really funny. I remember one week when I was on CNN, I think 2 or 3 times that week. I want to say it was 3 times that week. And in the paper or in the on the university website or for the business school, they would mention faculty that were in the media. And there was some guy who was in the local newspaper, and they were making a big deal out of the fact that he was in the local newspaper. And I was thinking, that's interesting. I was on CNN 3 times this week, and none of my colleagues have ever been on CNN, at least not in the past year or two. I wonder why they're not even mentioning anything that I've done. And the thing was, see, I'm from the South, so I know how racism works. I don't expect much from white people, especially racist white people. I saw the history of the institution. I said, man, if you've never promoted a black person in 100 years, you've got a really bad racism problem. You're really fucked up, and you don't even know it. So I didn't expect them to even really acknowledge a lot of the work that I was doing because I'm kind of used to black people and black work being treated second rate. But that was just one of the observations that I made. And I remember having a conversation with the dean who was black, and he was telling me that my work was a little too radical and that it was gonna make it difficult when I go up for tenure, and that I needed to kind of try to adjust certain things and get white people to like me more. And I remember that conversation. I remember walking out. I felt bad because I spoke on raw emotion with some intellect mixed in there, but I basically just told him this. I said, you know what, man? I said, I remember hearing white people tell me that I was unqualified, that I wasn't smart when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And it affected me. It made me really think that I wasn't smart. And when I later on found out that I was actually capable, when I was capable of doing the things I've done, get PhDs and all that, I was a little angry because these bigots almost stole my future from me. They stole my self-esteem. They stole my identity of myself as a capable and intelligent black man. I said, now, you could do that to me when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, but now I'm a grown-ass man. You're not going to do that to me now. These people are not going to do that to me now. I'm not going to let them tell me I'm not qualified when the fact is that you're not qualified to evaluate me. This institution that hasn't given a promotion to a black person in 100 years as far as tenure, even the dean himself hadn't gotten tenure at that school. He got tenure somewhere else and then came to the school. And he was kind of a token sort of guy. They hired him so they wouldn't look racist. That's what racist people do. They put a black face on stuff. So racism is more effective when you put a black face on it, just so you know. And I said, this institution that has not given tenure to any black person, at least not in my field, in the last 100 years of existence, I'm not going to trust you to even give me a fair assessment because you can't. You've proven that you can't. I'm not the first smart black person to apply for a job here. I'm not the first smart black person to try to get a promotion here. I'm not the first smart black person to be evaluated by these bigots. So you think I'm going to leave my career? I done spent 12 years in school, work my ass off for this, work my butt off. I'm talking about study 8, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for over a decade. I'm not letting the balance of my career and my success as a scholar be leveraged and based on the opinions of a bunch of people who have shown very consistently that they are entirely incapable of fairly evaluating the qualifications of a black man. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, dog. So I remember walking out of that conversation. I felt kind of bad. I felt like, well, maybe I wasn't playing the game. Sometimes you go with your instincts, and you're questioning your instincts. Like, man, maybe you're supposed to be nice. Maybe you're supposed to bow. Maybe you're supposed to lie. Maybe you're supposed to kowtow to racism to make white people comfortable. So maybe they'll hook you up. And I remember not being sure about that. And here's the thing. The funny thing is, I see a lot of scholars do that. They'll bow and fold and bend and be quiet and be politically correct and say what white people want to hear. Won't say too many things controversial on Facebook. Literally shut down 90% of their potential, their God-given potential, their gift from God, their mission from God gets shut down entirely because they are so damn scared of white people that they won't even have the audacity to tell the truth. And they certainly won't tell the truth about black people or about racism because they are so scared of what the consequences are going to be. And you know what happens? They do all of this and they sacrifice a chunk of their career by being quiet little mice, hoping that if I'm good enough, if I'm quiet enough, if I'm polite enough, the white man will take good care of me. You know what happens to a lot of these scholars, the majority of them? they still get booted out anyway. They still get told they're not qualified anyway. And as I told my daughter today, I said the only thing worse than being a whore is to be an unpaid whore. And many of us in black academia, we become these intellectual, political whores. We will bend and fold and scrape because we're told this lie. We're told this lie of, they call it the illusion of inclusion. We're told this lie that the reason this university hasn't hired any black people is because we can't find any qualified black people anywhere. We've searched the whole earth, high and low. We searched all around the globe, and there's not one black person on the planet qualified to do this job that's been done by hundreds of white men and women before you even arrived here. Well, that's the essence of white supremacy. Because what are you saying here? You're saying that there's this job that can be done by lots and lots of white people, but there's not a black person on the planet that's good enough to do this job. Do you understand that they're right there telling you that you ain't nothing but a nigger? That you come from a planet of niggers? That you come from an inferior group of people? But you're the exceptional one. You're different. If you come in here and you behave the way, unlike the way these other Negroes behave, we're going to take good care of you. And that's what a lot of black scholars, young black scholars, end up falling for. They end up falling for the okie doke and the lie that makes them think that they're the first smart black person to ever apply for that job, or that they're going to behave, and they're not going to be like, I'm not going to misbehave the way Boyce Watkins did or the way somebody else did because that's why he didn't make it, because he didn't play the game properly, he didn't blah blah blah. Whatever, man. You know, and my thing is, like, I don't tell people what to do. I don't tell them how to conduct their careers. But I think that what happens is our community ends up losing a lot of its most brilliant intellectuals. Because when we finish school, we get sucked into these big racist institutions that don't hire black people, don't bring black people in unless you dribble a basketball, throw a football. Then in that case, they love you. But if you can't dribble a basketball, throw a football, a lot of these schools don't even want you there as a student, let alone as a professor. And they end up either working on issues that have nothing to do with black people, or they are afraid, they are politically neutered. And even once maybe if they get tenure, they're even neutered after that, because then there's still other carrot. There's always a carrot somebody can hang over your head. There's always a way they can punish you. So this idea that tenure gives scholars freedom is really not true. I mean, even once you get tenure, they still have ways to punish you, believe me. And so I remember, so I'm thinking about this conversation I had with the dean. And I was just kind of railing him, just letting him know, like, yo, man, look, I don't got no issue with you, but these people are not qualified to evaluate me. I know I'm good. I know how hard I work. I know I work harder than these fools up in here. I mean, not only did I go to a better school than most of these people went to, but I dedicated my whole life to being a scholar. I'm talking about even after I graduated, I was working 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't do holidays, never have. I work like the immigrants do, or even more than the immigrants. I mean, I work like the Africans do. I work the way people work when they're trying to be successful and when they don't make excuses. So I said, look, I work too hard to let these people tell me I'm not qualified. I'm not doing it. So I walked out of that meeting. I remember I told you I felt kind of like, man, like maybe I was too radical. What was wrong with me? Blah blah blah. And I thought about that conversation today. So here we are years later. You know, in case you don't know, if you want to know what happened with Syracuse, just go Google it. It's on the internet and all that, because it ended up being a big deal. It was all covered in the media. And I threatened to sue their asses for racism. I just didn't really have time to really pursue a lawsuit because I had too many other important things to do. And I went up for tenure, and I got letters of support from Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Cornel West, Michael Eric Dyson, Julianne Malveaux, and a bunch of other people. And a lot of people just wrote in. And so if they were looking to see if I had any impact or if I had pursued their scholarship and action mission adequately, that was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, I think it's just, but they just didn't like me because I probably didn't make it easy because I don't bow to people, to racists. I can't do it. It's not in my DNA. Life's too short to bow to that stuff. Don't worry about that. So I started my own business, kind of did my own thing. And years later, my career has been so much better than it ever would have been had I tried to just play this game. If I had just killed off a piece of who I was and tried to fold and bend and hope that these people like me, I probably would have still gotten screwed. The only difference is I would have ended up depressed because I would have given them everything. I would have invested everything in them, with them investing nothing back in me, with them abandoning me on the sidewalk like the $2 whore who didn't even get the $2 at the end of the night. And so instead, I just said, well, if I spend my whole life trying to be a white man, I'll always be second best, because I will never be as good at being a white man as white men already are. At best, I can just be a cheap substitute. So I said, you know what? But I'm pretty good at being Boyce Watkins. I'm just gonna be the best Boyce Watkins I can be. I'm gonna see how that works out. I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna double down, put my money on Boyce, and I'm gonna ride this horse as far as this sucker will go. And you know what happened? I made 10 times more money than I ever would have made bowing to them fools back at Syracuse University. I had 10 times more success. I've done things that I could only dream of when my career began, because when you are devoted, when you are a good person, you try to treat people well, when you do what you believe in, when you work your butt off and you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't do. So I guess I'm sharing this to say, number one, when I reflect on that conversation, I am so proud that in that time of heat, I stood my ground. I have no regrets whatsoever. Second of all, I want to encourage young people, believe in yourself, never give up on yourself, focus on your dreams, work your butt off, never give up, keep going, keep going, keep going, and eventually you will get something that is worthwhile. Being true to yourself is so important, especially if you're black. It doesn't mean you want to go around picking fights with white people all the time, because they can be nasty. They can turn into a pack of thugs when they get real mad. And history shows that. It doesn't mean all white people are bad, but it means that you got a lot of bad white people out. You got a lot of white people that have been trained to dislike you. You've got systems and institutions that are designed to oppress you. That is a fundamental, undeniable, statistically documented fact that's been covered in 1,000 research papers. The whole world sees this racism in the U.S. except for the United States, because somehow we think that we are some sort of exceptional country, which the truth is that in many indicators, according to many indicators, we are not. So it's going to be hard, but I just think that it's okay to bet on you, and that's it. I mean, don't let racism convince you that you can't be who you were meant to be. If you're a good person, you work hard and you believe in yourself and you push toward what you want, something good will happen in your life, and it's not going to be without turmoil. It's not going to be without volatility. But what I'm finding as I get older is that the volatility is what makes the story good. Think about this. The legend of Muhammad Ali would not be such a legend if he had not gone through the turmoil that he went through standing up for what he believed in. The story of Angela Davis would not be legendary had she not been on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. Now, I'm not saying you want to do that, but I'm saying if that's your path, sometimes you just got to embrace it, go through it, and there's a good chance if you come out on the other side, things are going to be okay. And we don't have to do what Angela Davis did. I mean, Angela's life was on the line. All we got to do is we might have to stand up to, some bigot in the office. Or we might have to go and learn how to start our own business and go through those ups and downs so you can be truly free. And I can say this last point, and then I'm done. I'm going to get back to work. But, that economic freedom is really, really important. And one of the things I thought about, and finance is my thing. That's what I do. That's why I started Financial Juneteenth. That's where I do most of my teaching now. Unfortunately, we have 5 million people a month that come through the website. So so I get to talk to a lot of people in the context of that. But I'm telling you, you cannot underestimate the importance of economic freedom, learning to build institutions. Build, build, build. Don't beg, don't borrow, don't go bumming, don't go bowing, don't go scraping. Build, build, build. And that is how you achieve your security. When you build things for yourself that help you to pay your bills, then when those racists come banging on your door trying to bully you, you can tell them to go to hell, because you don't need to allow them to emasculate you or to break you down or turn you into a little bitch just so you can get their money. Because we got too many black people that have to spend their whole lives begging. And I know personally I never wanted to be one of them. I don't want the people I love to be in that category. I don't want you to be in that category. So that's all I really want to say. I just thought I would share this. This was literally a thought that came to mind, and sometimes I'll do my therapy out in the open. I keep some stuff inside. I don't say everything crazy, but this was one of the things I thought people might benefit from. And I look back on that conversation. I just, I replay scenes of my life in my head, and I think back on that, and I say, man, I am so proud of that young dude, Boyce Watkins, 10 years ago when he was under the heat, and he stood his ground. He stood his ground. And I don't take it back. So I'm very happy about this. So stand your ground. Don't let these people walk all over you. You are better than that. Well, that's all I want to say. By the way, if you want to support our new film, I hope you will. It's called Resurrecting Black Wall Street, about the Black Wall Street Massacre in 1921, as well as what we can learn from those black people who built the wealthiest community in the state of Oklahoma. It's at resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. That's resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. So if you can support the film, we'd really appreciate it. So until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.